Check engine light, loss of engine power. You need to replace your ECU. Just kidding, that's rarely the case. But it wasn't mine. I'm fixing my ECU. Hola! I'm Mike, the backyard mechanic, and that's the Mustang. The ECU is fried. As you know from the last 5 episodes in this series, based on the diagnostic trouble codes, I was under the impression I had bad oxygen sensors. After exhausting all the culprits that could cause the rich and lean DTCs, I had it narrowed down to the ECU. Remember, it goes by different acronyms: ECU, PCM, ECM, or MCU. Not to be confused with the Mike Cinematic Universe. Right, nerd me? Your MCU joke is confusing and stupid. Although they can be and often are used interchangeably, there is a difference. ECU, or electronic control unit, is a generic term. Your car actually has dozens of ECUs in it for the engine, transmission, brakes, infotainment, body control, or comfort system. An ECM, or engine control module, specifically controls the engine, which I will detail shortly. Just hold on to your socks. A TCU, or transmission control unit, manages the transmission shift timing and associated sensors. A PCM, or powertrain control module, is a combined engine and transmission control unit, or an ECM and a TCU. The Mustang has a manual transmission, so the TCU is not a factor. I will henceforth be referring to it as an ECM, as it is the most accurate description. A modern ECM might contain a 32-bit, 40 MHz processor with about 1 MB of code. It is not JavaScript. Before the implementation of ECMs, a car's internal combustion engine was controlled by a carburetor and a distributor. Vacuum from the engine, starting or running, would draw air in through the carburetor's bore and venturi. The venturi creates low pressure, which draws gasoline from tiny holes regulated by needles. The fast-moving air atomizes the gas into a combustible fuel. Meanwhile, the rotor inside the distributor rotates, usually via a gear on the camshaft of the engine. As it rotates, it passes by a pin that is connected to a spark plug that closes a circuit, causes the plug to fire, ignites the fuel, and gives the engine power. The timing of the distributor is critical. If it fires too soon, it is advanced, and if it fires too late, it is retarded. Can we say that? Retarded? Consider that at higher RPMs, an advanced timing is preferred, whereas a timing challenged setting smooths out the low RPM idle. In older cars, a balance had to be struck between these two scenarios, sacrificing power or a smooth idle. Enter the ECM to control the fuel injection instead of a carburetor, and a coil-on plug ignition system instead of a distributor. The ECM works in a closed-loop system, meaning it listens to sensors and fires actuators. Sensors detect the results of actuators, and the loop starts over. The driver presses the accelerator, which triggers a sensor. The ECM then opens the throttle body to let in more air, then tells the fuel injectors to inject more fuel, then tells the spark plug to fire. At a higher level, the ECM listens to the upstream oxygen sensor, which reports the air-fuel ratio. The ECM uses this calculation to adjust the fuel mixture and timing of the spark, and in some engines the timing of the valve's opening, such as Honda's VTEC or Mustang's VVT. The ECM utilizes many safety sensors to protect the engine and will limit the RPMs in the event of overheating or engine knock. ECMs are a superior way of controlling an internal combustion engine. It provides more power, fuel efficiency, safety, and better emissions. It's not easy to debug an ECM. Online searches reveal everything from "you can't" to "test every wire in the harness." It would be nice if there was an error code or a dash light that tells you the ECM is bad. Problem is, the ECM would have to use the ECM to check the ECM to determine if the ECM is working. Kind of like how Congress gives himself a raise for doing such a good job. The symptoms of a bad ECM don't help much either. Oh, my check engine light is on. Better replace the ECM. Aw, heck, it was just a dirty spark plug. It's reported that ECMs almost never go bad, but I've replaced 2 of them in the last 2 years. Guess what the other car was? So how did I debug the ECM? I can only take credit for the preliminary diagnosis based on the scanner DTCs. I got codes that indicated the O2 sensor was reading lean, stuck lean, not switching correctly, and the heater resistance was out of limits. More pertinent was the same codes were triggered on both sensors. Both sensors having the same trouble at the same time eliminates a lot of issues that would be just one or the other, such as spark plugs or fuel injectors, which are not going to go bad all at once. Even the wires in the harness are not going to go bad all at once, unless a rat went to town on it, in which case countless other things are going to be going wrong. Oh, how cute! Not. The only thing this really allowed for was a vacuum leak, which I tested. The sensor graph was also a large clue. When I first showed this, I played it down, but despite the graph evening out, it took almost 5 minutes to do so. This graph reflected how poorly the Mustang ran when it was cold. Finally, I would get random codes that would come and go. They were not consistent each time I scanned the Mustang. Of course, I replaced the sensors, but as we learned in Headers Installed, that wasn't the fix. And I pretty much knew it wasn't gonna be, but I got headers now. But to be sure, I had my mechanic check it out, and he confirmed the ECM was bad. I asked him how he did it, but he was vague and said they used data tables. Maybe he has a competing jibber-jabber-tube channel. So we know it's bad. Now the question is, fix or replace? If time is a factor, replacing it could be done in a day. Fixing it requires shipping it off and waiting weeks. If cost is a factor, a repair is a couple $100, while a replace is several $100s. If level of difficulty is a factor, a repair is super quick and easy. Pop it out, get it fixed, pop it back in. Keep in mind, not all CMs can be fixed and not all shops can fix all ECM problems. A replace could be very difficult or expensive. These companies may claim that a new or refurbished ECM is programmed for your car, but they are leaving out some details like the key or immobilizer programming. Or it might need a misfire monitor neutral profile correction procedure. What is a misfire monitor neutral profile correction procedure? Don't know. Thanks, Ford. In general, older cars will be easier and potentially DIY. Newer cars will be harder and less DIY. These procedures and extra programming could make a new ECM work that a dealer should do, which drives up the cost. And you have to get the car to the dealer to program it. Remember, it doesn't have an ECM. At which point, you might as well have the dealer do the whole job. To get a replacement ECM, you might have to take it out of the vehicle just to get the part number. This is the model number sticker on the Mustang, and here's where it is. Thanks, Ford! In the case of the Mustang, the decision to repair or replace was made for me because a 2010 Mustang with a V8 and a manual transmission is either a very rare thing or a very sought-after thing. Because there was only one available in the entire country, and it was $1,000. Everywhere else it was either sold out or all they had was PCMs for 4.0 liter V6 Mustangs, which appear to also all be sold out. What the heck, is the Department of Defense buying up all the Mustang ECMs and putting them in Javelin missiles? To have it repaired, it was $170. And I'm in a good position where I don't have to have my car and I can go a few weeks without it. I can always use Mrs. Backyard Mechanic's car or Backyard Mechanic Jr.'s car, or of course the Lexus driven by my daughter, Little Miss Content Maker. Having decided on a repair, I had to decide who to repair it. I tried to find a place locally. One place that looked promising never answered the phone or responded to my email. Another local company looked good. Okay, it looked like a throwback to the crapulent 90s, but they were ECM repair guys, not web developers, and they were local. It had a Facebook page loaded with angry customers complaining about being ripped off. I called some non-local places, and it turns out most of them are specialized, only fixing ECMs with specific problems. I talked to a few companies, gave them my trouble codes, and described the Mustang symptoms, and they said they couldn't fix it. Discouraging. I came upon the ECM Repair website, which also had an eBay store, which led to another website under a different name but the same address, which also led to a Facebook page. The reviews on Facebook and eBay looked good, but because of their schizophrenic web presence, I figured I should check them out. Their company story sounded good, family business since the 90s. I called to get a feel for them. I talked to Tracy, who had been with the company a long time and was friendly, sweet, and helpful. She let me talk to one of the techs, and I gave him the codes and symptoms, and he said they could fix it. No problem. Sold! Time to remove the ECM. It's critical to disconnect the battery before touching the ECM. Disconnect the 3 clips, first releasing the hold-down clamps. You might also want to note which clip goes where, like I didn't do. The Mustang ECM is held in with 1 bolt. It actually should have a second bolt on the bottom, but it's impossible to get to without removing the front end, so it's not there. The cables need to be moved out of the way, and the ECM can be removed. I found an oversized box and put the ECM in it without any bubble wrap, and closed the lid without using tape. Just kidding. I enclosed a printout with my contact information, all the codes the ECM was generating, and the work I agreed to on the phone. 90% of the bad reviews on eBay are because customers just stuck their ECM in a box and shipped it, hoping the company would have an idea who it belongs to or what needed to be done. I sent it via UPS, and I bought $10 of insurance that would cover a $500 loss. UPS has lost stuff for me before. I was less concerned about the amount and just wanted United Postal Stupid to know I was watching them. I shipped a UPS Air from Dallas to Tilden, Illinois. I didn't realize it works this way, but they dropped the item on the company with a parachute. ECM Repair says it's a 1-day turnaround, but it's a 10 business day wait until they can get to turning it around. This clever wording also led to bad reviews. It was about a 3-week wait total, but fortunately I was prepared and time went by quickly. In fact, you could say I didn't even notice the Mustang wasn't drivable.
Once upon a time, there were 3 little pigs.
The ECM was shipped UPS Air back from Tilden, Illinois across country to Dallas. I went ahead and retrieved the delivered package. I unboxed it and it's all cleaned up. Looks good. The ECM installs in reverse order of the removal steps. It slides into place, then install the top bolt. The clips need to be reconnected. Ford, in their infinite wisdom, made the bottom 2 clips identical. I had to refer back to my removal footage and also this diagram to determine which one goes where. Thanks, Ford! I recommend that if you do ECM work, mark your connectors. Push the clips in smoothly and carefully and close the clamp. Reconnect the battery. Start it up. That's a good sign. I took it for a test drive and the difference was immediately noticeable. The Mustang was running rough when it was cold and now it's smooth. I also had trouble accelerating if it wasn't in low enough gear. Now I feel like I could start 4th. You'll recall from my headers installed video that after doing major work, the engine will throw a P1000 code, which means in order to properly test all the systems, you need to put miles on the car. But the car is a month past inspection now. I kept my last failed inspection and the receipt from the ECM repair in the glove box. I never got pulled over, but if I did, I was prepared for battle. I drove 100 miles around Dallas. By the way, This shot over Dallas cost me $100,000 for the helicopter rental and all the permits, not to mention my pilot license. So the least you could do is like this video. I mean, come on! Having sufficient miles, I pulled into the shop for inspection and I passed! No biggie. In spite of what Nerd Me said, I still think they should be called MCUs. I ran another scan on the Mustang and I have a new code. Apparently, I have a bad cylinder temperature sensor. More content later. Most critically, the O2 sensor codes are gone. And when I run the graph, yeah, that's what an O2 sensor graph should look like. In jibber jabber tube time, this fix took me 2 months. Or 2 hours, depending on what you consider jibber jabber tube time. In real time, it took 3 months of driving with a bad MCU. Again, I was lucky to be able to drive with it because it's very random what the problem in the circuitry can be. And it can be bad for the car to drive with a bad MCU. If things don't function in the proper order, it can ruin the engine. Oh, I have a fan online. Hey fan, I finally fixed the Mustang. Isn't that great?
Man, that was pure gold.
Thanks, fan. I think. Was he serious? Well, I'm done with the O2 sensor saga. This fix is in the can. Or is it? There is actually one significant problem that popped up as a result of this work, which I will show you next time. And that video will show up here when it's ready. And in the meantime, did you see how headers work? This is going to be a thing. The MCU. And a coil-on plug-up. What? It just worked. It was just working. I just tested it. Well, there goes my bit.